to talk to this amazing poet person. I'm so excited. And I got to say one embarrassing thing about myself. I never knew that that area of the country was called or referred to DMV. And then all of a sudden I'm hearing that DMV, I'm in the DMV, I'm in the DMV. I'm like, I've been a geography nerd my whole life, and I didn't realize that terminology was out there, but it's like common knowledge. So I love that segue
Yeah.
into who we're talking to right now.
Yeah. Somebody from where I'm at, he was a DJ that he coined DMV.
I was going to ask, when did that happen?
Yeah.
Is this more modern?
Yeah. Probably like the last 15 years, I believe. Yeah. It's just that, we can literally I can get in my car and drive for 20 minutes and I'll go through all three areas. Yeah. DMV, stand up.
I love this. I learned so much tonight. You don't understand my nerd geek vibe. It just went off because you just really explained an origin, a true fact, and now I can share that with
Origin,
other people.
you're so funny. Origin of thought, origin of truth. Ha
Oh,
ha.
I didn't
I saw the
even
pun there.
realize. I'm just really like legit on cloud nine, Andy. I had a great night, a great
Yeah,
night. I just learned something really cool. Like we got the
yeah.
history of how DMV came to be.
That's
Because
Yeah.
again, I'm a
sounds
nerd.
good.
I like geography, but
And now
so
you
has that been
can
your whole
continue on your
time?
geographic nerd
I
stance.
know, and then because I'm learning. I'm traveling to the U.S. I'm loving this. Now, have you been in the
Yeah,
DMV your whole time?
No.
Obviously not. That's the segue into your history and who you are today.
Yeah.
yeah.
No.
So we'll start like this. So how did all this start for you as far as poetry and what you do? Talk to us about that. What was the inspiration? How did it all begin?
Okay. So I grew up in households where you were seen and not heard, only speak when spoken to. So at the time I was doing poetry, I didn't even know what I was doing. I I was scared of anyone finding my books and finding out, reading it and finding out what I wanted because I had a diary and that didn't go well.
Wow.
So then I started using like metaphors to cover up what I was really talking about. And I didn't know what I was
You're
doing.
speaking in some sort of code that only you could understand. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And throughout the years, that's the form that I use to express myself, not with people, but on paper and pen. And when I got into like my 20s and 30s, I wanted to share it. But unfortunately, I was married and, and he didn't embrace that, you know. Um, he ridiculed it. So it wasn't until I got divorced that I was like, okay, year before COVID on a stage. And that's where it got coined at. Then I didn't even think I was good enough. But coming onto the stages, I realized what I had to say. I was speaking for people more than myself.
Mm,
Andy, I have
mm.
a comment if you don't mind, because
No, no, yeah, no, no.
what I
I love
really
what you
love
said. I
about
love
you,
what
and
she said.
I think a lot of people in our audience and anybody watching the replay and people who've been following you for a long time, what I respect and just admire the most about you is the confidence and the strength in your voice. And to hear, that story where you had somebody pulling you down, holding you down because of fear of seeing themselves in it, or even worse, just trying to hold you down from being your true self, to see where you are today. Because again, that you come through like a full KO punch, and we're here to hear it and listen
Yeah.
to it because we want it
Yeah.
and we need it. And I'm so happy and grateful to have you on the show to talk about that. Like you said, hey, I went from not feeling good enough to here we are today. And you said you started right before COVID. So did that change
On
happen during COVID?
on stages.
Oh, okay.
On
How
the
many times did
stages
it
with it.
go where you felt like you could let go some of that insecurity?
What was it again?
I'm sorry. How many times were you performing before you were able to kind of let that go and really just keep going forward? Because you made the pivotal comment. It's not just me. It's for everybody that needs to hear this, everybody that needs to feel this. When did you recognize that happening for you? Right away? Like,
the first day, and
awesome.
I was nervous.
That's why you can't answer, because it just, you walked in it. Okay.
I
That
was
you
a
couldn't
nervous
answer it. It just
wreck.
happened.
I was one of those like this the whole time. I didn't want to show my
And then
face.
as
But
soon
then
as you dropped it
afterwards,
with camera on and ready.
yeah, everyone came to me and was hugging me and embracing me and wanted to know where they can follow me at. And some of them wanted my number, and they had like, I want you to come to my open mic, this open mic.
I gotta tell
Yeah.
Wow.
you, and Amy, I apologize for, again, if you had something, because for somebody who can sympathize with what you went through with the current situation that I'm dealing with personally, to know that fear of, and then it was just jumping to that other side, taking that leap, making that decision to love yourself for who you needed to love
Yes.
yourself for. So again, yeah, it was just the sunshine was right on the other side of that door, and that's what I'm hearing from you. And that's an incredible moment. So where was that stage?
That was Busboy and Poets. E Baby
Wow.
was the host.
You never forget your first open mic.
No,
It's
and
true.
we are still friends to this day,
Uh,
you know.
Wow.
And I always remember, just the encouragement that he had. You got this, you got this. It's okay, you got it. Yeah, but I love I love being around people that can uplift me, especially at a time when I didn't think that what I had to say or who I was important, because I didn't have anyone in my life reminding me of that. The only person I
Mm.
had was myself. And at that time,
Mm.
that wasn't good enough.
and it's not
Wow.
sometimes to hear it, you tell it yourself, but you just say it, but you don't feel it. You just have to say it. Because if you don't say it,
Mm.
then the other side's worse.
Yeah,
You don't believe it at all. So you at
yeah,
least say it to yourself, but you can't feel it because of what you were dealing with,
Mm.
the
exactly. And
situation,
I
that
think, yeah,
environment.
and I think that's what I had to learn. I had to learn how to speak to myself
And
because I
believe
wasn't.
it, and believe it, and take it in.
Exactly. That's a whole nother level.
I'm just saying, I mean, why you're always, I think, a crowd community favorite is because, again, you talk about these issues in that poetic, metaphorical way that people are able to feel it and understand it and to see how great it is afterward. And they think that, again, I think that's to know where your power comes from. That's so incredible. Andy, you usually ask about the creative process. How do
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
what, yeah, is
No, no,
that,
I'm sorry. You took the
that
words out of my mouth,
I was going
but
to
what I
actually
wanted to,
toss it to you because I think you have
yeah,
a better way to phrase it.
no, no. Before I ask about the creative process, I just wanted to, like what you said, resonate, because that whole feeling low self-esteem about yourself, that's something I struggled with for a long time. As a matter of fact, even to this very day, that sometimes I still struggle, even though it doesn't
Of
look like
course.
it, but I struggle with a whole lot, feeling like, oh, like nothing's working, or no matter how, like every time I feel like I'm going somewhere, like something always gets in the way or something always interferes and stuff like that. And I always tend to feel low of myself, and sometimes my wife has to kind of like, and she's met my wife, so she'll tell you, she has to kind of like knock me up sometimes, like, yo, like get a hold of yourself type of thing. But I know that feeling because growing up, it was kind of a similar thing too, where it was like verbal abuse, or don't speak until spoken to, or don't interfere in conversations with adults. And let's say if your parents told you something, and if you asked questions, then they got mad because that means you weren't listening. It's not that I wasn't listening. It was just that I didn't understand what you were talking about. So all that verbal abuse and being put down a lot, here I am maybe years later, I got people that actually lifted me up, and I'm like, yeah, I appreciate the lifting up, but at the same token, it's like I sometimes am skeptical of it, even though I know you guys are genuine. But I'm like, okay, but are they really feeling like that, or are they saying that because they feel like they have to say that? So that's a struggle I go through a lot. So, so thank you for what you're saying, because it's I don't know what it is exactly, but it's just like I that what you said, I definitely understand. Honestly, my wife's the reason I restarted the podcast in the first place because I've been doing this since
Mm.
2020, and it was like on and off, on and off. I had a platform before, and then that eventually fell through, and slowly bringing back the podcast and doing and to what has become today. It's just I look at it as, you know what, God brought the right people to my life. That's the way I'm looking at it now. But I still find it hard to believe that this is really what's going on, even though I know it's for a purpose. So with
Yep.
all that being said, the creative process, how do you come up with your pieces? Does it just pop up like that, or does something inspire you, or is it by a word? Like how does that look like to you?
I don't I don't believe in writer's block. I'm gonna say that. Um, I have experienced so much, and I am currently experiencing different people entering in my life that I can have conversations that will trigger a creative process for me. Most of my pieces do come from like conversations that I've had with other people. Each poem that I've ever presented has a backstory, always, to it. But my mind works like channel surfing, right? Like I got all these ideas that's always flowing through my heads, or things that just certain phrases. And I used to not write them down, but now I get in the habit of writing them down. And later on, I can always come back to them and know why I wrote it down previously, and I can create something out of that.
Wow.
And
I'm kind of in the same boat too, because I'll be on the street and I'll say something like, oh damn, I should have wrote that down. And then when I try to rewrite it, it's like, damn it, I don't remember exactly
Yeah,
how I said
I
it. It's
remember.
similar, but it's not exactly the way I said it. It's like, oh man, but I know what you're talking about. So let's give the
wait,
audience an oh
I have a
yeah,
question. I'm so
there was
sorry, Andy, because
yeah, but there was a question on the thing too. Can
oh,
you guys see the
perfect.
question on the bottom or no?
I no, it's not on the screen for me, but I did
Oh,
put in the
okay.
chat to put your
Um,
question in the question box. Yeah,
okay.
you pop it up on the screen if you can.
Yeah, it's popped up on my screen, but all right, I'll just read it. So from Lene, she says, "Where do you see your poetry in 5 years?" That's a good one.
In 5 years, so I'm already starting it. I've been lately the type of person where I don't talk about what my next moves are. I just do it. And one of the things that I don't really share is I do host a workshop for underprivileged children. Every Saturday morning, they get me up.
Yeah, that's
But it's at
dedication. That's real dedication.
Yes. And I don't share it that much. But I hold that workshop, and because of that workshop, it coined the idea that other things I need to do, speaking to other empowering women at this museum. Um, and, and last May, I had actually registered Uncultured Asian not only as a trademark, but as a LLC.
Yes, you're
Yes.
doing it completely correct. That's why you've held back, because you know when you release it, it's going to be done in the right way, that way, because that's
Yes.
important.
Yes.
And
So,
I did have a question with your creative processes. Do you feel almost like you live separate lives between the way you write and perform, even though you still have that universal powerhouse persona, but who you are, like you said, you don't share that you work with this a group because you're giving to other people because you want them to grow, and you're like building the bridge for them because people don't know what they can do until sometimes people can show them the
oh,
way.
yeah. Yeah.
So
And
then you
people are
come out.
surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my full-time job, I am a general manager at a pet store. That's what I do for a living,
Wow.
full time.
Exclusive, maybe. I don't
At
know if
at
that's
work,
exclusive.
it's just like, oh my goodness, the hawk has landed. The hawk has landed. Everyone start doing work, right? like that's who I am at work. I'm just like this person that comes in that just tells everyone what to do and they can't stand me. And then I have this other person who, oh, Uncultured Asian's gonna be there. Let her go first.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it's definitely different lives. The people personally in my life, I have some wonderful people that do support me. You know, I'm not going to say my entire family, but I have people that are godsends in my life that has been there for me since day one.
Amen. Amen. I'm getting questions, by the way.
All right, good. I want to know
Another
those questions from
question.
the audience.
Okay, so it's L.A. Walker says, "What's the message you want your poetry to leave future generations?"
Ooh, he came with the question. See, why is my brother doing that to me? The biggest thing that I think I want people to know about my poetry. My poetry has been coined with a little girl that did not know how to express herself freely. And that's what any generations that wants to get into poetry, I want them to go all full forth with it, every single emotion, every single feeling, put it out there. Because later on it's going to bleed into your adult life and that shit is going to hurt. Express it. And this is what I teach the children as well. Whatever you have, express it. You scared to say it out loud? Use a metaphor. Do what you have to do, but express it the way that you need to express it.
Amen. And
Absolutely.
there was another question that says, "Where do you get your motivation from?" This is from Blossomful Queen.
Um, and like I said, it goes back to me having conversations with great individuals, poets, friends, sometimes family, and it's not always positive conversations. It's negative conversations as well. Um, a lot of my motivation comes from just that the people that are around me, the people that are supporting me, and myself initially, because I have to be my number one supporter.
Absolutely.
Amen.
I what I really heard from you is that what I really enjoy, what I've been able to do since Andy's brought me on, is to really get to connect with people that are in their element. And when you are in your element, you are really trying to pass on lessons to other people because you want them to have an easier road. Understanding, hey, you can take the lesson and learn it, or you don't have to, because this is for me. But I'm telling you, it's a harder road down the line. So I know people are probably wanting to put this into question. I know I've been wanting to have this, but I think we've gone way too long without hearing something from you. So I think you got a piece for us right now? I don't know. I'm just too excited because you don't understand. You are just teaching so many incredible lessons.
Okay.
And you're like, I'm just living my life. But that's what you do when you're in your element and things happen to roll in the right way. So
Yeah.
I know we want to hear a piece for
Yeah.
you.
So,
Amen.
and you guys heard this piece, but I'm gonna say this because this piece is so very important to me. I spit this piece on every stage I've been on. This is the very first poem I always do, and I think the reason why I do it is because this poem was written last year, like in July, but in June I told myself I don't want to do this poetry no more, and but I still kept writing, and then I wrote this poem, and E-Baby told me to come on IG. So this is this piece, y'all.
I don't know if I should say it
Uncultured.
before or after. I'm sorry, I just ruined it anyway. But I'm just saying, I always say this: we want to hear the hits. Like I love that you have a kind of routine and people know what to get when they get from you. But I like to go to shows. I'm going to a show next Saturday. I'll travel out of town for show. I'll go 2 nights in a row. But we want to hear the hits. So I love that. Thank you for really giving us kind of a backstory, even though you might always give that backstory. I appreciate that. And now I will get out of the way.
All right. Uncultured goes deeper than what you may hear. To be uncultured does not mean I'm not cultured. Simply put, at birth, I was robbed of my identity, robbed at the chance to know my roots, roots that may have branched out to bigger gardens and pastures that may have enriched my spirits. See, I was robbed. I was forced into a culture that didn't look like me, that didn't breathe like me, that didn't move like me. It wasn't me. See, I was robbed. I became this being always searching and searching for something, not knowing what existed, searching and searching, not knowing what I was going to find. What the hell was I looking for? Whatever it was, it definitely wasn't around me. I couldn't touch it. I couldn't see it. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't smell it. But let me tell you, I could feel it. I knew deep down inside of me, there was something that moved me, soothed me, comforted me when I needed comforting, healed me when I needed healing, loved me when I needed loving, guided me when I needed guiding, motivated me when I needed motivating. But see, I was still robbed. See, I wasn't white enough to be Caucasian. I wasn't Asian enough to be Chinese. I wasn't Native enough to be indigenous. I was just left to being me, the only one of my race, but surrounded by those culturally insiders I didn't belong. And even though these cultures ran through my veins, they wasn't me. We're not the same. But I finally found what I was searching for. It took me 30 years to realize in my search I found me. I adapted who I was. I culturalized myself. I took myself out the very idea of being molded to fit into anyone's version of culturalism. I became uncultured in my own rights. I allowed myself the freedom to culturalize myself based off my own values, morals, and beliefs. I became the uncultured Asian.
Wow. Ah, wow.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
after I wrote that poem, I decided not to give up.
Amen. Amen to that. Wow. You know what's crazy? I mean, I don't know. You know, what, Angela, you go ahead.
Okay,
'Cause
guys,
let me process my
I just
question.
don't ever want to cut you off, so I give you a chance to go first because you know I have something always to ask or point out or question because
And there was a question too after yours in the
absolutely.
comments. I
I'll just
wanna,
make
yeah,
this
go
real
ahead.
quick because I know oh my god, this audience out here tonight. Thank you, but
And I'll give y'all a fun
okay.
fact too.
Well, I'm
After
actually
Andy asks me.
curious when you go into this melodic kind of chanty tone in the middle. Was that chant purposeful, that exact rhythm, or that like because it was attached to any meaning to you, or that's just how it naturally flowed through that
It
writing?
comes out like, and you know, I noticed myself too, like just from like watching replays that I kind of do this thing where I go high, I go low. It's like on that roller coaster. And I think I do that to make sure that people are paying attention.
Well, that's why again there was no
It's like just get
hesitation. You
loud.
opened the door and you came through. But like to me, it almost came off as cymbal sounding at that just that one little section. Even though you are performing, you're doing the cadence. You're drawing people in. You're pulling people back, so they have to come closer. I mean, that's part of the performance. But to me, it almost came off very musical. Like I said, like a cymbal, almost like rhythm to it. So that answered my question with no. I thought maybe it was some sort of secret like thing on top of that, but again maybe it's just me hearing some extra stuff tonight because that's why it's one of the freaking hits. Now, Andy, you said there was a question from the chat.
Yes, it's LA Walker says, you got two things to tell your young poet and one thing to ask your future older poet. What do you say and what do you do? No, wait. What do you say and what do you ask?
Okay. Am I the younger poet? Did I get
Wait,
that
let me read
right?
the question.
It's like the older, younger poet
Yeah,
me.
so it says, yeah, so you got two things to tell your younger poet and one thing to ask your future older poet. Yeah, so that was the question. What do you do and what do you
Okay.
ask?
My younger one, I'm going to tell my younger poet, don't be scared. Go on that stage. Right when Busboy poets started opening up. Like, don't be scared. I would have tried to encourage her to get on there way before she got married, y'all. The older me, I'm going to ask them, did we ever get to Madison Square Garden and put on that poetry play that we supposed to have done? That's what I'm going to ask.
I'm there though. I'm going to that. Like, I'm going to that. So I can't wait.
You're going to be in it. You're going to be in
I'm
it.
gonna fall out of my chair. Don't even say that to me. That is, I just
I
want to
want
fall
to
out
do,
of my chair right now. That was so, oh my God, my dreams are happening, Andy.
like, I want to have like a whole play going on, but with like 50 poets. That's
Whatever
what I want to
you
do.
need, I will
Yeah.
help. Whatever you
Like, I
need.
want to try to figure it out. I need some money though, y'all.
I know. Zenny Optical. So many
Yeah,
parents commented. I'm
listen,
trying to get the money.
we need
I'm trying.
money too. Yeah,
Zenny
I want to make this
Optical,
platform
Madison
bigger than what
Square
it is.
Garden.
So I see that we all are on the same page about what we want to do with poetry. So I'm glad to have heard that. I don't know if I've already announced it or not, but I'm gonna have a post up soon. I'm just working on some things as well. Um, but October 20th, we're having our first in-person open mic in Bayonne, New Jersey. There seems to be a very high demand for that, so we're gonna do our first show there, and everybody's invited. I don't care where you live, whether you live in Washington, whether you live in Jersey, whether you live in Philadelphia, doesn't matter. If you guys want to come through, events
Andy,
free.
you never say Ohio. You know I'm coming from Ohio.
Oh,
You purposely
because
leave out Ohio.
yes, dirty Ohio, Cincinnati was a scum city or whatever it is.
They can be Scum City. That's not where I'm from, but
Yeah, that'd
um,
be cool. I'm going to try to make it. I have my last surgery for a while, the end of this month. And then if all things go well, then I can be out that way. 'Cause I'm trying to go to the JC's poetry
I'll
club one too
be
on the
there.
14th.
So
So,
if you're there,
okay.
I'll see you there. I'm
Um,
yeah.
going to that.
so
Oh, but
yeah,
I
if you
want to give
guys,
you my fun facts before I
Oh
forget,
gosh,
okay?
fun facts.
oh, okay.
I
The
love a fun
uncultured
fact.
poem. I only became uncultured Asian after I wrote that poem, not before. I used
Wow.
to go by a different name. Would you be interested what that name was? Y'all promise y'all won't laugh
Oh
at
my God,
me?
now I'm interested. I want to like try and guess it. Like, are you kidding me? I'm dying to know. Yes.
That girl BG. My
Wow.
my nickname in real life, my friends call me Boogie. So that's where
Mm,
the BG
okay.
came from. Yeah. So that was my old poetry name.
Listen,
Wow.
nobody
I've
has a
had some
more.
weird names too. I've had some weird names too. When I first started this community, I was known as Jammed Them Down. That was my community. That was my page. And then it became a community page. And then after that, it became Ink Sessions Live. And then that died after a while. And then now here we are, Unraveled Influence. And then my poetry page is The Andy Morales, because it was The Andy Morales, then it's The Andy Morales with that two E's pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So I know what you mean as far as like picking up names and stuff like that, because everybody had these cool names. Like there was this one guy named Zillion Poetry. I know it's not his full name, but he would what you call it, had, yeah, everybody had these new names, these cool names. I said, oh, instead of write them down, so we jam them down. I'm like, okay, this sounds kind of stupid. Like at the end of the day.
Like that though, jam them down.
And it's funny because that eventually became my community page back in 2019, 2020, and then it eventually changed to Ink Sessions Live, and then later became what it is today. But it's so funny because the name of the podcast was called Jandom Sessions Live. That was what it was originally
Mm.
called, the podcast. So that's pretty what the whole thing is. And it's just interesting how everything has changed. And you look back like, God, these are names I had. But yeah, but Jam Them Down was my first username back in the day. So it was just interesting how we have these names. I'm like, damn, I remember this, I remember that. Pretty
Yeah.
interesting stuff. Oh my God. Lene says, how do you know when your poem is complete? By the words or the release of the emotion? That's a good one.
So I'm gonna say this. Um, when I write now, I've already went through the emotions of it. I don't write like, for example, if you want to talk about like anger or pain, I don't write when I am currently going through that anger and pain. I live it first, then I write it. I refuse to write while I'm going through those type of emotions. So I can't say that the end of my poem is emotions. I know the end of the poem when I've already sent out the message that I want to send out. Yeah.
Can I ask a side
Wow.
question from that? Do you process it post through that? Like that is your healing process through processing it there, as opposed to, because again, it's that secret life. Because I feel,
Yeah.
again, I feel very sympathetic, and that's kind of how I feel. Like at work, I'm this person, like, hey, and then at home, I'm like this person, like, leave me the fuck alone. And then, like, again, I process what I'm really feeling and I hide what, or I hid it from everybody else, and then it comes out there. But it's separate from you because it's already dead, because it's past tense, and you
Yeah.
couldn't do it before
Mm-mm.
because it's alive and
Because
you have to
it'll be
wrestle it.
it'll be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
It's everywhere.
So the
I can
time is right. So that's how you know it's the right time for your piece to be complete.
correct. Like I can give you guys an older piece, so you
Yes,
can
yes,
understand like an older piece, a
yes,
that girl BG piece.
yes, yes. Oh
Let
my
me
God, Andy,
find it.
do you understand? We are
Yeah,
getting some
we're getting
real, like,
exclusive
legit
here. Remember, Unraveled
behind the
Influence.
scenes before
Okay. It's not.
Uncultured Asian.
It's
Oh my
it's
gosh.
it's not that good, right?
Don't
I don't
even,
think
I don't
so.
care.
But individuals that heard it told me that this poem was good. But yeah, this is written in 2013. It's called Life. Life in its entirety has been the mass of my creation. Blessings can count an endless amount of friendships and relations. Nothing happens because it just happens. Columbus ain't sailed around to start mapping. We as individuals prone ourselves to feel unaccepted and voided from society. Truth be told, fuck them. Start a riot on these. Tired of talking, wishing, wanting, thinking, feeling like you gonna do something. Speaking of would've, could've terminology, you ain't doing nothing. Every fall, rise, hope, fear, dream, aspiration is in your hand. When a woman can be a woman and a man can be a man, that's when people will understand. The good, the bad, it all has its worth. Bullshit don't even seem like it's even dirt. Don't sleep on me, cause I'ma be at the top and I'ma have my stars right with me and we won't stop. Do y'all know the message in there?
Come
Wow.
on, Andy. I know you got it. You got it. Come on.
No, no, go ahead. I'm still trying to process
I
this
know.
right now. Wow.
I'm like, how dare you even say that isn't good? I mean, that was definitely out of the park.
Yeah,
That
it
you have the
is tough
comment
indeed.
at the end where, can you say the part where the man can be, it was a man can be a man
Yeah.
part?
When a woman can be a
Yeah,
woman and a man can be a man, that's when people will understand.
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? That reminded me of a piece a long time ago. I heard someone said, everybody talks about putting on mommy's dresses, but no one ever talks about putting on daddy's ties or something like that. And that's what it took. That's what it reminded me of when you said
Mm,
that.
yeah. And see, at that moment in that poem, all I was trying to write out on those emotional pieces was someone in my family. I had a argument with them. Sometimes me being biracial, um, people say things, and I got angry. And that's what all my emotions, but they were all over the place in that poem. Cause I was like thinking about everything, like the Columbus part, right? It's the Native American in me and them being all culturally white and me putting all that stuff in there, right? Yeah. So I was all over the
Wow.
place.
So I hear that you're saying it feels frantic to you, but to us, we see really is the spark of who you are today really is showcased there. Like whoever told you you can write, they were absolutely fucking right. I mean, people in the chat are definitely saying that's tough as fuck, because
Yes,
absolutely, like, it was a
yes.
punch. You can't, you know,
I'm
it's
not
not like
going to
you were
perform that,
frantic, but you
Oceans.
were punching. You were punching the whole time, even though you might say it was frantic. You're definitely punching.
Yeah,
Yes.
Ocean said I need to perform that when she comes here next week. I'm not performing that piece.
Could you
Oh
retweak
my
it though? Could
God.
you like use that as the inspiration for today? Like looking back at in the past and
You know what? When I do the preview, I'm gonna use that piece as part of the preview when I upload the episode to Spotify. So I'll remember that. There was a question. I have a few stuff here. Hold on, because I didn't realize I got a lot of questions here. Okay.
they
Uh,
want to know.
uh,
They want to
yeah.
know.
So it's LA Walker says, if you had to describe your poetry as a type of cuisine, what are you picking?
As a cuisine. Okay. So do you guys know what infusions are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So have you ever had like Caribbean Italian infused?
It's the combination of those two things together. I don't go out much, but no. But I love to. I love going and having some food. So I'm definitely gonna check it out. Yes. Should I check it out?
Yeah.
Because what's going on with that infusion there?
So my work is like an infusion,
Yeah.
right? You got a little bit of everything in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like if you ever had like spaghetti, but
Mm-hmm.
curry spaghetti.
I like.
And not ground beef, but
Right.
like with chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
let's call it that. I'm an infusion. That's the cuisine.
So
That
you're getting the
hybrid of
four
a
different things.
new type of food.
So you can't even tell us the cuisine because it's just a. I this is what's happening. I keep every episode somehow. I always use the word cacophony for some reason because I can't go to thesaurus.com in the middle. But you have this cacophony of different things, so we don't even have it. But that's honestly that's a crazy question,
But you
and
can have it. You can
I'm
have
telling you
it.
this audience. They're making me feel like I didn't do a good enough job coming up with some good questions. These questions
He
are
only
amazing.
asked that question because I have a degree in culinary arts. Me and L.A. Walker went to the same college at different times.
That you're an artist. That's a real freaking thing. There's a lot of I think chefs that are also in this field as well. What do you think that is? Why do you think chef and poetry? Is it because of
That
the
is,
organization? Because it's
poetry
lists?
is not, yeah, I'll say this. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry if I'm going to hurt anyone's feelings, but poetry is not my number one passion.
Oh,
Food is.
I get that.
I like to
Not
eat.
from you, but from people who are in that same field. They say the same thing. That I find that I'm just so intrigued. Like I'm taking notes. It's so cool. So food is the passion, and poetry
Food
is
is
the
the
artistry
passion.
that comes from that.
Yes,
Andy,
definitely.
I love this. I'm so excited. Thank you for being on. I never get the chance to really get an opportunity to ask and talk with you because we have these stupid lives, but I'm so
Not
excited to have this.
stupid.
Well, I got some stuff going on right now. Okay, I got some stuff. It's a little stupid. Okay, at my age to have to do some of this stuff, it's a little stupid, but it's okay. I'm just saying I'm so excited to get this opportunity. Andy, what's the question you got? I can't hear you, Andy. You muted.
You know what?
There we go. There we go.
All
If you're
right,
just
whatever.
joining us, like we
My
spent the
earbuds are
first
acting
5
up.
minutes with issues.
Okay, no. So the question is from Ocean's Rain. Besides your artwork and of course your poetry, your passion, what drives you? I think you said it was food, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, 'cause I'm getting these questions, so I'm trying to answer. I'm trying to get to every question as much as possible. And then Poetry Queen 76 says, Angela, what are those glasses from? They're so cute.
Zenny Optical. Zenny Optical, and they're affordable. And I have so many glasses. I don't even have time to show you all of them because I've lost so many pairs. But oh my God, that's hilarious because you know what we're doing. Because we have this person who's on the LLC committee getting their business totally on check before she allows us to really get the goods.
But this is
That's what I meant to tell
confirmation
you
for me.
guys.
No, I said this is confirmation for me because I wanted to do that with Unraveled, and I wanted to do something like that with other stuff too. So I felt like you doing that and trademarking Unraveled, I wanted to do the same thing too. So I feel like that's confirmation that this is the direction to go. So thank you for telling us.
Yeah,
you
you
know
got
what
to get registered first, and then you can get the trademark.
Wait, say that again. The what?
You have to get registered first before you can get trademarked. Registration.
All right, so I'll
first.
hit you up privately. We could discuss that. I need to ask questions.
But not just that. Again, when you guys listen to Unraveled Influence, whether you're here live or on the replay, you learn really important things. Like we just learned something hella important. Register yourself, then get your trademark. That's why we all love Shark Tank. It's because those motherfuckers are stupid, smart, and they did that exact thing. And that's why people have so many freaking patents, because they did it first and they did it right. So but listen to the people that know. I thank you. I learned so much, Andy. Thank you for bringing me on the show. You just froze for me. So, there we go.
No,
Andy, we're back.
Angela, I love your voice. By Poetry Queen 76 said she loves your voice.
All right, thanks. It's very
Wait,
sweet.
but look, remember in the first episode, you said that you're struggling to find your voice and you don't feel like you found your authentic voice. But here you are. What? This is January. We're 9 months in. You have and found your authentic voice. So there it is.
Yes.
Confirmation.
No, because I asked you that question about when did you feel like you actually had it? Because for some reason, even though when I'm on a stage, I feel like I can do it, but I always somehow subconsciously hold back, or I know I shouldn't do this one, but I don't give a damn. I'm still going to do it anyway. It's like not a self-sabotage, but it's like.
And I think we all have that problems as you know, not just poets, but as performers, right? That for me, I can say the moment I found my voice was when I stopped trying to find my voice. I think I was trying to, watching all these other poets and I want to sound like them. How come I can't sound like them? How come my cadence can't be theirs? But when I just stopped doing it and I just spoke how I wanted to be heard.
Here's what I want to say real quick, Andy, before I know there's probably another question, is because I hear what you're saying, because when you first walked on that stage that first night and you got the response, even though it probably was like you grand slam home run first moment where, comedians have to go through it in order to become great. This is also that same thing where sometimes you have to go out there and practice and get the rust off in order to become great. You workshop it. So to hear that you felt it that first moment, no matter what it was, because it could have been a grand slam, or even if you did have a little, because it was your first time, I hear that's what I'm needing to feel. And that's what I think you're really sharing with all of us is do it. Be yourself.
Yes.
Be in your element.
Because there's so many different styles. There's so many different poets, so many different voices, and we need something different. We don't need the same stuff.
Wow. See, wow.
Absolutely.
You're just confirming a lot to me, so thank you.
Play.
Yeah.
I can't believe you asked me to be on it. Oh my God. Thank you. I mean, it's happening.
So,
it's happening.
You know what's crazy?
5 years from now, 5 years from now, we're going to be on it.
Yeah. And hopefully Unraveled Influence will be sponsoring it, right? I don't know. Hopefully we'll get money. We sponsor it too.
Yeah.
We all make money.
Uncultured Asian Poetry LLC. I'm sponsoring it.
Oh, you're headlining it. It's your day. We're just we're part of it. We're helping you do this because this is happening. Did we ever have that Madison Square Garden poetry play?
MSG, yo. Word.
I
So,
love I
so a
love that.
question. I think this was for all of us. It says, "How long have you all been in poetry? Do you mean in the community or just as a whole?" If it's
Well, I
as a
think we can answer
whole,
both, and I'd like to start with our guest.
yeah,
Like, how long
yeah.
have you been
Poetry,
doing
yeah.
it, and also how long have you been in this community?
I think if you are a poet, you have been doing this forever because poetry picks you.
Mm,
That's my response.
I love. I
wow.
always say this ridiculous quote that I say that well, it's not ridiculous to me, and maybe not others, but poets are the true historians of the human experience because we bleed what we feel, even if it's twisted and metaphorical. It's the reality of the world, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, a felt thing or a thought thing, And that's I. How long have you been in the community though? That's I think that was
Me,
a good question. Yeah. When did you come into the scene?
what what
I
community?
don't know. And
The,
you
the the Instagram poetry community and stuff. That
A year, a little
a
over a
year.
year now.
stop
Yeah,
it.
Okay.
last July.
Oh wow. I would never. Wow. I think you. Wow. I would never
Yeah.
thought that. I would
And
have thought maybe longer than
and
that.
Again, they
Wow.
just turned
yeah,
one day.
my job got really busy. And so my friends at Bus Boys told me, I was like, I can't form on this day because I took a promotion because I needed some money.
Mm.
And I was sitting there working like almost every day, and I was just like, maybe poetry's not for me. And they was like, no, you are for poetry. And they told me, like, I understand you can't go, but still spit your pieces. Go on Instagram and go on an open mic. I said, who? They said they all over there. And I joined one, and next thing I know, I think I had like 200 followers last year coming in, and now I got like 3,400. And
Wow.
there's
Look at that.
been open mics, and now like I'm hosting.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't. And I'm
Word.
finding these poets that are just finding out about it, and those are the ones that I try to embrace and love on them because all of you guys have embraced and loved on me.
Oh,
Wow. No, but this is an honor and a privilege to do this. Just real quick. As far as why I decided to do this platform in the first place, I wanted to be different from all the other ones because everybody just features a piece and say, "Hey, check out this piece from this person," gives them a follow, and that's it. I wanted this platform to feature it differently. Yeah, we do the open mics, but then we also do the interviews and do the podcasting aspect of it. From my knowledge, I think we're the only ones that do it right now. I hope other people get inspired and they could do it. Have more than one option for that. But that was that's why I wanted to stand out from everybody else was to do the podcasting, the interviews, and go live and have like kind of like what we're doing now. So that was one thing that I wanted to stand out for Unraveled. And yeah, so like what you're saying, it makes sense. I so much respect for you for that, and like just to have this platform. I always tell this is an honor, this is a privilege, this is a responsibility that I take very seriously because, like I said, like in life and past and stuff, I never had a place to get my voice be heard, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. And I'm like, you
And
know
now
yes.
we
what?
all
I want
have a
to,
place.
yes. And I wanted to be the one that provides that space for everybody because, you know what? Yeah, we could do an open mic and we can do, you know, but what about the conversations that that the open like the open mics we had? Yeah, we've had deep conversations within that open mic, and I love this intimacy
Yeah.
because to me, this is intimacy. To me,
Yeah.
people think intimacy
Right.
has to be when you're having sex and that's it. I'm like, no, it's not what that is. No, this is intimacy right here because we never met each other in person, but yet we're having this deep
Yeah.
conversations that a lot of people don't have the
Yeah.
opportunity to have. So I mean, I thank you guys just for saying yes to me and trusting me with your
Thank
story.
you, Andy. Can I say this
This
real
is
quick before I forget? I'm
yeah.
just afraid I'd forget this because I don't know. Because again, what you do, Amy, is you're honoring other voices. You have your things that you're hosting. You do the other people's poetry because, again, you're about having other people have exposure to other people, because there's a lot of places that are popping up, and we're starting to really band together and help support each other, because people are here for this. We need this. And to get an opportunity of Andy share what he has to say and hear you share what you have to say. And just like what Andy said, we're all from 3 different parts of this area.
Yeah.
We all come from completely different backgrounds, and yet we're able to listen to each other and engage in something that's incredible. And that's because of the work
we know
you
catfish
do by
is not
letting
everywhere.
people in. Because people feel comfortable sharing because you create a space that honors that.
Yeah.
Correct.
As I said, at least we know catfish is not everywhere. And that's the greatest part about all this. I've met Angela twice in person already. I've met Carlos Medina once. What's have I met?
You met
Oh my God.
Queen Liberati.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did you not?
That was sorry,
oh
my
God,
mind
days of all
blank.
days.
But that's what I'm saying.
I had to see.
Because a lot of the people I know, a lot of people, but a lot of the poets I do interact with here, they live nearby. I'm like, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't JC live in New York too?
Yes. More
That's what I'm saying, because she's okay. Because and even Greg, this other guy, Greg Mazzy, he lives in Buffalo. I forget Buffalo. He lives in
Albany.
Oh, Albany.
You also
Oh
just
my
did
God.
an in-person mic for like one of the first times too in Albany somewhere. So like
Yeah.
again, people are starting to and we can all be different too. We don't all have to be extroverted, like even though we might be introverts because we're on a screen, but we can all be who we are and take what we need and give when we can, because the people are building, like Andy, when we try to say, we're building the bridges and people are starting to drive around. It's happening.
There was a question. I don't think I understand the question, but I'm gonna try. Maybe correct me here. It says 3 poets you. Okay. 3 poets you think needs to hear. I don't really understand.
3 poets that people should check out, other than who that maybe we don't know.
Definitely deep thought. But I'm just being biased though.
Of course, yeah.
But
I think that question's to you, Amy.
Sorry.
No, but I would agree.
So with me having OPP, I'm going to say this, okay? Of course, everyone needs to know about everyone who I follow, right?
Absolutely.
But I have discovered poets that I didn't know did poetry. As when my platform, started growing and everything, I started coming across different famous people that I didn't know wrote poetry. So presently, check out Muhammad Ali's poetry. Check out Jimi Hendrix poetry. Y'all didn't know that he wrote poetry. Before he died, he wrote his last poem.
Wow.
Yeah. Y'all didn't know that. Yeah, Jimi Hendrix. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, something. I love Jimi Hendrix. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah. I came across his book. I started reading it, and there's like a section of it of his poetry, and I'm baffled. Like, I did not notice the many talents that this man conveyed. He also did poetry as well. So it was amazing. Even at Woodstock, he carved in on one of their like wooden planks a whole poem before he went up on stage.
I knew he was incredibly fantastic, because I'm kind of a 60s nerd, but when people go Beatles, I go Monkees for some reason. Like I always go against the grain. But
yeah.
I know Jimi Hendrix had all these crazy things, but I can't even.
I
did not know
about the poetry,
that he was such
and I'm a big fan of his. I'm surprised I didn't even know about
you didn't either.
And I listened to his music. That's wow. Betty White wrote poetry too. I remember that one time. I don't know if you remember this, Angela. Back in 2019 or 2020, Brian Edwards, when he had Poets Anonymous, he actually hit up Betty White and said, "Hey, would you like to go live? Because I know you write poetry." I mean, though she never responded, but everybody was like, "Oh my God, if you could get Betty White, that'd be dope." I mean, unfortunately, we can't get her now because she's passed on to a better place. But yeah,
Oh,
she wrote poetry too, and she loved poetry too herself. So it's interesting.
I'm gonna look up Betty White poetry, and if I'm gonna see if I can have it. I hope it's just funny.
Word.
Oh my god,
I was like,
I
oh,
love our
that's
list
my
though.
yo.
We had Betty White, Muhammad Ali, Jimi Hendrix, and Deep Thought the lyricist. That was
Yeah.
the list. That was the list. That's great.
You know who writes good
That's
poetry too?
amazing.
I don't know. You probably don't know this guy because he's famous in Europe, but he had a song in 1989 called Millennium. His name was Robbie Williams. Not Robin, Robbie
Robbie, yep.
Williams, and he actually writes poetry himself too. If you look up that album, oh my God, it has one of God's favorite people at the very end. He has like a hidden track, and it's actually poetry. It's really nice poem. Like it's crazy to me to think there's people who write poetry we don't even know. You would never thought wrote poetry, which is very fantastic in my eyes.
Yeah. Yes, you, Deep Thought. Do you
No,
guys know
no, not me. Yes.
who Bo Sia is?
Wait, who?
Bo Sia.
But why does that sound
And maybe I have
familiar?
to see it in print.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If I see it, I think I might know, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't want to say yes, and it's not who I think it is.
He's Asian. He's an Asian American poet. One of my favorites. Bo
All right,
Sia.
well, number check. Check.
He was on Def Poetry Jam on Broadway.
Okay. Okay. Yes. Now I know what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah.
I do know that. Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Ah,
I'll have
He's
to
okay.
add them
amazing.
to the list that I'm trying to
Yeah.
curate. Oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. We got a really awesome list for everybody.
Yes. Yeah,
I
check them
can't
out.
believe we are heading already like the hour and some change, but we're not cutting the mic off just a second because I definitely need to hear at least one more piece from you before we go.
Yes,
But Andy, did you have
please.
any other comments
No,
or
no.
questions before we head towards?
Oh, as of right now, wait, okay, it's L.A. Walker. Did you expect to be where your poetry, where you are now in your poetry journey? That's a good question.
No, because I didn't even think I was going to get this far a year ago.
Mm,
I'll be honest. When I say
mm,
I went full head first this past year, I went full head first. The
mm.
Mary Turner piece.
Wow, what a life, right, Angela? Wow.
I don't care that I had to do curriculum night. When you said we were going today with this person, I could not wait. Best day, best day.
I love you guys.
Love me too, literally, for real. I love you
Yeah.
guys. I love this community, and I like I said, I've been here since 2018. I can honestly say I have seen a lot of shit happen here, and the fact that the last, I'm gonna say 2 years, a lot has changed for the better from the time that I first came in there, and I'm glad I never left. I'm glad I never left because there was a time I almost just said fuck all this shit, and I'm
Yeah.
glad that I stood, and I'm glad my wife convinced me not to leave. So
I'm glad that she is too. I think I'm your wife's best friend now.
she's met my wife. She's met my wife,
She
Angela.
is the most amazing person. I'm so grateful for her. She's actually the pivotal, the linchpin, the CEO, or what would we say that she's the
She's
community
the
relations
event,
coordinator.
the event coordinator.
She is
Yeah,
the
we're trying to.
reason we are having our free live in-person open mic on the 20th of October because she's
Yeah,
the
so just
one.
look out for that post. Yeah, keep a
Yeah,
lookout for that post because I have to do other
she's the one that
details.
did it.
I gotta,
She
yeah, I
did
gotta confirm a
the
few things
pivotal
with the
research.
bar.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Andy, I have to glow about her because she's the one who said they need this. She's the one. Bayonne talks. She said they need this,
She
and
knew
she set
that.
up that appointment for us. And I drove
yeah,
all the way from Ohio so we could meet those people, and they were
yeah.
incredible. And
Wow.
it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I just have to confirm one more detail with the place. It's called Shorty, so it's a because they do karaoke's at night. Every other night. I mean, no, every other Friday they do karaoke. So
Yeah.
But I just have to confirm one more thing with them so that I can have, then I could just look out for the post. I'm gonna post it in the next couple of weeks. I just have to do a few things before I post it, kind of thing. But I will tag everybody. I'll post it more than one time. I'll tag everybody on the post, and and we can make this a historical thing. But one thing I've learned in this last month and a half is art is it's missing in Bayonne. Like, it's very missing. It's something people want, but people don't know how to go about. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty much capitalizing on that. I told my wife, I
Yeah.
told Angela, I said, Angela, we gotta capitalize on this. I still have the screenshot on my phone that my wife showed me, that there was such a
And
high
kind of like it's still
demand.
secret.
I was like, yo, I did not know that's what Bayonne wanted. I was like, okay, I'm gonna capitalize, and we're gonna use this platform because I want this community to expand outside of the four walls of this computer, if that makes sense. That's the way it
Yeah.
should be. Hey, Allen Ginsberg did it in the '60s, and they didn't even have social media, so why not?
Yeah. And hey, I'm like 3-4 hours away. So
Oh,
if I can't
oh,
meet it this
oh,
From the
time, I'm gonna make it
making
DMV
so.
area,
moves,
which if you're just
making
starting
And
out, check
moves,
out the
making
history
moves,
of.
I will bring poets with me.
Oh my
If
God.
he's
making
still
moves.
in here.
Yo,
Oh, he's
wow.
not in here no more, but Ghetto Messiah, I'll have him with me.
Oh my God.
All right, so
I got
I'm gonna inbox you the next couple of weeks. So just look out for that inbox.
Okay.
again. We got so many incredible, actual, honest to goodness tips and lessons. So we learned
Mm,
register yourself first, then get your LLC. That's important because CC Flow,
yes.
she does all that business, all that stuff too. So that's the wealth that we get to share when we interact with each other too, because
Yeah.
people don't know. So we going to get that piece? What piece are we going to have you
Yes.
give us right now?
So Deep Thought wrote in the comments, my Mary Turner piece, and Becca Shoe put on there the lady in the shoe. So
So why don't you can give us both?
you want both? Okay.
Yeah,
Got
let's
it.
do it.
Absolutely, absolutely,
Let's give
definitely.
the
So
people
which
what
one are
they
we going
want.
first?
This is To Live and Die as a Woman.
Okay.
They had the right to remain silent because anything they said or did was held against them. But silence could never be an option because we needed to be the outcome. Their fights for equality needed to prevail so the future generations of female could inhale. Imagine living in a world where your mere existence relied on the X and Y chromosomes. XX marked the spot of a girl where life could not be bestowed because Y was told he held more value. He would build on the family's patriarch, assumed he provided more use, and that mother, always bearing a girl who eventually she didn't deserve to be in this world. And even though it was the husband who decided what that child would be, she was still reminded this was her fault. She was assaulted and abused, and they killed her daughters because she couldn't bear a son. So she had no reason to live, so she took her own life instead because she had more peace dead. And although in 22, China banned infanticide, 2,000 plus babies die every day in India just so their lineage stays in line with their heritage, but we didn't always get to select who we heritage with. By 14, they placed us with strange men to play marital with, and our body's reproductive system was the only merit we had in those left over, aging and unwed, unchosen, unspoken, hung, while the lynching started choking. This was our only purpose, making us worthless, but we just don't get hung until we unbreathe our last breath. Like, let's look at Mary Turner's death. Who was Mary? Oh, Mary, I am so sorry. See, Mary was the wife of Hayes Turner, a man accused of murdering a white farmer. And in those times where slavery was supposed to be abolished, and since black men couldn't be enslaved, they found a loophole to give them another way. Arrested them for petty crimes, arrested them for petty crimes to be bailed out and had them pay dues and work on fields and mines. But Mary, oh Mary, one day Hayes didn't come home because his remains was hung before the sun claimed noon. So Mary spoke up. In a world where standing would get you choked up, they ran through her home, dragging her, forcing her. And at the river's ledge, they took her to a bridge. The same bridge they took every non-Caucasian to end their existence, but it became more of a damnation because they first made a spectacle of her body. 200 men attended to fornicate and invade over what was meant for only Hayes, and she was hung upside down, soaked in kerosene, and lit a match while the parade of town folks cheered on what was so inhumane. As if this was the worst, it wasn't. They cut her 8-month-old womb, kicking, stomping, smashing to the ground, just to prove to her community, you better stay silenced, or this will continue to go around. And it did. And it still does. And it's been over 100 years, and you can still feel Mary's tears because there was, and still is, too many Marys. But we had Ida, and she lived to dedicate her entire life to, and lynching and protect all of her people. She fought day and night to end women's suffrage. And everything that was once normal and lethal became illegal. And if you ask me, we owe every woman, because of their courage, we can actually earn a living in the same places these women couldn't even live in. We owe Ida. Every time we decide to silence ourselves for the streets, we owe Harriet. Every time our train gets off track, we owe Susan. Every time we say our vote doesn't count, we owe Sojourner. The power of our truths, we owe every single woman unnamed, and speak up on injustice, violence, and abuse. We need to adapt to what they tried to change. Because if we don't, we just proved they lived for nothing and died for everything. Uncultured.
Wow. Oh. Oh my God. That's truth right there, man. This, you know, what I was thinking about too while you're reading that, I wrote down some things. And one thing that definitely came to mind, I think about generations that's passed, right? You know, there's things that get passed on, knowledge that gets passed on to generation to generation to generation. And I see this generation today, and I see the privilege and the freedom they have today. But what the new generation doesn't understand is the bullshit they had to go through in the previous generations in order for us to have what we have today. In order for us, they fought.
They fought
for things.
Like they
fought
lived their
freedom,
entire
yes.
life dedicated to the fight.
Yeah,
there was no social media.
But this is what I thought about, and it's like, even I was born 1985, so I'm considered, I guess, millennial, whatever the case is. But like, even I can say, like, there's so many things I take for granted. I'm like, wait, but we forget the history way long before we were even embryos, pretty much, that the crap they had to go through so we can have the privileges we have today. And yet we, how do I say this without being offensive, but like, we bitch and complain about things. I'm like, damn, but look what they had to go through so we can have those things. And yet we forget about those, right? I think about, like, in the things of God, right? Like, I always do this. So let's say this headphone, this is a blessing God gave us, right? But we focus too much on this, we forget where we got this from in the first place. Just like
But
how
it's
we
not just that
forgot
too,
where it came
Andy. If
from.
I can say this too, but Mary Turner, that is a real American story that happened, but
Yeah.
people don't all get to hear that story
And that's
about
the
Mary Turner.
That's,
So when
unfortunate.
yep. And
But
that's
that's the
why
point.
you're
that's what,
saying your
yeah.
voice is for everybody. And not just that, you had so much history, you got brought up the whole story, but to even go not one step further, but just that was what launched that anti-lynching bill. And even though that was 1922 after in 1918, but it wasn't until 2018 when it was officially put into the
And it's
government.
crazy.
Isn't that fucked
But
up? I
see,
mean, that's really
but
fucked up.
yeah,
And again,
but
people
that's
are
the
not
point.
talking about that, and that's
So
why
But that's the
you're.
point. But
That's
that's
why
the
you're. Yeah,
point.
that's
Yeah,
what
but
you
that,
were saying the whole time.
yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
but that, but no, no, but that's the point we're all making here. It's like it sucks that we don't, not everybody knows, because I feel like there's certain, I don't know how, Angela, maybe you can answer this for me because you're a teacher technically, but when I was growing up, right, there was the salute the flag, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. And this side, I don't know, this is everywhere, but they don't do that anymore. Is that like that? Is that like that for you in where you're at, or that's gone too?
I well, I'm not sure if it's done in the elementary schools. I don't think necessarily it does, but that's a whole trying to unify a country with a patriotic idealism. But what's happened is that we understand that the patriotic idealism isn't been one and justice for all. And so I think us as citizens of the United States and even global citizens, we are not attuned to be together with each other anymore. And so
Right.
those things,
Because
like,
it's getting
we can't even
distorted.
fake those things anymore.
But that's what
Where
I'm saying.
we're
Like, I feel like a lot of
losing
stories,
connection, but we're grabbing it here by
right. But that's
having these
what I'm saying.
opportunities. Yeah, go ahead, Amy.
Right. No, no. But the point I'm trying to make is, it's like there's so many elements, because I did mention the whole generation to generation. Sometimes the things that get passed on, especially knowledge, it gets distorted, it gets lost in translation, and then we forget. And then we forget why we even here in the first place. Like, and then back to what you were saying, that's a story that really legit happened, right? But not a lot of people know about it. Why?
Exactly. And again, not just that, to not even be in the actual law until 2018. That's
That's
unacceptable. But
crazy. That's insane. I didn't even know about that.
I just
That's
lost
wow.
my thought here, but that's what's happening is we are getting those stories because stories are not being shared, like whole sections of stories. So that's why we are able to get these stories now by having you share those stories, and even when it's personal. But that's what's saying the real important stuff. Because again, thank you, thank you. I mean, that's
Yeah.
huge importance. I don't. I
We
forgot what I was
gotta.
going because
No,
I will say
no, no.
this, that stays with you.
Yeah,
Your poem that stays with a person. And
yeah. I
that's
gotta
the
highlight
power of
this.
not just
Yeah,
what you're saying, but how you are delivering it. You know, the way you are performing. It's still with me because it's so sickening and it's so disturbing. Because again, and I remember, Andy, unfortunately you had that work situation that came up, but like Bonita Poetry was on last week and she talked about because of how she was grown up, she had to alter who she was outside because of stories that are passed down in her family that again people don't know and people are not open to hearing what's going on, but now we are able to in these situations
It's our
connect.
yeah,
voices.
And that's why again your voice saying that's opening the door and hearing that you're in your element right from the get-go, people are going in the right direction. And
yeah. And
that's so incredible. Go ahead,
yeah,
Andy.
Tierra Nicole says something which is pretty interesting. I agree. She says they took the pledge, prayer, and cursive writing out of schools. I think it stopped after our generation. My grandma was a teacher. I was like,
Yeah,
damn, you
I
know what? That's so
can
true
give a
because they
little
don't even teach.
context.
I
There is a
saw.
pressure because of it's a pendulum, and I'm not going to go into education chat because we're featuring this amazing person. But when we went to the 80s/90s, there was a switch into testing because we have to make sure some people are not doing their jobs. but there are people who are doing their job. So we went to testing, and so what ended up happening is we're getting funding is testing. So cursive is not tested, so we lost it. And then again, we're talking money from levies, and again, come on, there's a disparity here. Like, again, this is not new. And that was another thing that was brought up.
Yeah, it just feels new. Yeah, it feels new because it's not talked about enough. Yeah, but it's the same thing with I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that's a little bit younger than me. Not a friend of mine, but like a employee that I work with, and about police brutality. And I explained to him, no, that's been around for years. It seems like it's a new thing, or it seems like it's worse. No, it's always been around.
It's always been there.
It just seems worse now because of this. That's really what it is. It's this. And it seems like it's new. It seems like it's a lot. No, it's been going on. Yeah, and I grew up. Where I grew up, I saw police brutality where I used to live. I used to live in Bushwick back in the day in Brooklyn. Like I've seen people. People used to shut up on my building. Like that was not a new thing. That's been around. That's always been a thing. It just wasn't talked about because we were told shh, and that's it. Because I came from a time where things were being brung awareness, I guess, at that time. My parents came from a time where that wasn't even a topic. So the minute awareness came in, my father was always shh, like mind your business.
You keep your head down, you'll be fine.
Mind your business, keep your job, don't disrespect no one, don't talk to nobody's girl. I always say this, but that's what I was always taught. Yeah, mind your business. If they say something to you, just ignore them. Even though I grew up at a time where, you disrespected me, I'm gonna fight you. Like, even though I was told to just ignore, like, but you know, all right.
And that's why we have poetry, because we can talk about it.
Amen.
Amen. Again, such an important piece, and we do have one more guest.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is for Rebecca's shoe. Have you met the old lady that lived in the shoe? You know, the one that had so many kids, she ain't know what to do. I know that lady, but she ain't old. She's just tired and worn out of having to do what she's told. That shoe. It used to be too, but when he vanished, he took the other. He took the one without the responsibility of being a single mother, the one without any hardships, the one that didn't have to deal with all this bullshit. He had the right shoe. He ate food in his shoe, but in the one he left behind, the lady fed her kids broth without any bread because that's all her pockets could give. Her shoe was ran down. She was ran down. She couldn't even put her kids to bed with peaceful sounds. She sucked up her unfortunate grounds and adjusted her crown. She rised up and used all of her strength. And even though she didn't have a strong enough arm left, she rebuilt not only herself, but her children. She took that left shoe and she turned it into a building. The shoe became a boot that became a heel so that she could walk high on fields where her shoe became a better home. But the right one became worn and torn. His shoe went from a sandal to a flip-flop until he ripped holes through its sole until he couldn't walk anymore. And he couldn't find his way back to the lady that lived in the shoe and come back home to what he once knew. Uncultured.
Wow. Oh my God. Wow. Damn. Talk about putting yourself. Try to talk about. That's one of those talk about putting yourself in somebody else's shoe, or if the shoe don't fit, kind of thing. It's like, man, that is wow.
And this piece came from this piece came from a conversation with another poet, Sincerely Yours. We were talking one day, and we were talking about like nursery rhymes, and he was just like, "How come it's only one shoe?" So
Mm.
I said, sincere, I'm about to write about this. I'm about to write about
Wow.
it.
No, but you know what's funny? I look at it as like, you know how you know that saying, "Oh, walk a mile in my shoes." I'm looking about it like, "Oh, but what about that one shoe that once it starts to break, right? Then the story of how that shoe broke in the first place, kind of thing." So I think about it in that same aspect, the trials and tribulations that person or that situation had to happen in
Yeah.
order for, you know, it's like the journey. It's interesting. Well, I really, I'm sorry, I'm like lost for words because that piece really, like, wow, really, it really hit hard.
I appreciate
It's one of those
that,
things.
and it came out at a time, I have custody of the children, and I think it came directly from my heart. And it, and like I told you, like, I don't write when I'm going through it. I write after. This was like
Mm.
3 years, after everything went down.
And that's what I felt, as far as, because again, we see that, oh, I took nothing and grew into something. I came out of the hell that I was in. And,
Yeah.
that nursery
And I
rhyme
built
said
it
something
better
else, but look what I did with it.
and
And
built
I'm
it
blown
better.
away that that came from that conversation with that poet. And two, I waited every time, Andy, and the one time I didn't wait, you had some good stuff, because I can understand exactly why that poem was requested, because it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
it's really fucking good. So, oh my
Thank
God, Andy,
amen.
you. I
what a fucking
appreciate it.
night.
Word. So we are reaching towards the end. So I'm gonna end with this question. I always ask everybody this. Um, After everything's said and done, after we all pass on and we're eating at the Lord's table, whatever that looks like for you in the afterlife. What do you hope to leave behind after you're gone? Is my question. What legacy, what impact you want to leave here when you're not here anymore? That when people look at, they say uncultured Asian. What's the one thing you can say that you want people to remember you by?
That this was like, I was that person, I would hope that my story will be read to many of the biracial children that will be out there. And I hope that I resonate with them. And also, and I said this, I told Ellie Walker this, I said, when I die, I want everyone to read my book. If it's more than that, yeah, no one's leaving. Like, everyone that's gonna come up, I don't want to hear none of that crying stuff. Everyone come up and read a poem. That's what I want.
Wow,
Everybody read my poetry. They don't need no thoughts. Just hear me. It's like that
wow,
final ode. That's what I want.
You want that
wow,
joyous spirit that we feel just by being in your presence at that same
Yeah.
time. That's what
And,
I feel. I can see that would be how it would be an amazing way to honor somebody like you, if when that situation, or what I said if, but of course I'm a biology teacher. I know that that will happen at some point, but oh my
you
God,
better
Andy,
put that
what an
strong
incredible
emphasis on it, LA Walker, if you're gonna read Uncultured.
day.
You
I will say
better
wow,
this:
you better get that voice together.
that
Oh, he
cuisine
told me I
question
have to
and that
plug.
infusion.
Yeah. Oh,
Go, yeah,
no, no,
oh
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
please. I want to say that what you said at the end really connected back to when you described your poetry personality, Christine, as that infusion, because the infusion is all of it together, and those best incredible flavors that go together. That, so I hear what you're saying even more. I think how you want to have us really hear your voice, and
Thank
I
you.
appreciate hearing that tonight. So now I
I
will.
wow.
appreciate you. No, I was going to say, because I just read a comment. LA Walker said that I need to plug my jewelry too.
Go for it.
I make jewelry. See,
Nice.
Where can we get this jewelry? I can't believe I'm just hearing this now.
I don't. Okay, so when I came to IG to do my poetry not this July that passed, but
Mhm.
the July, it's 22. I was doing jewelry beforehand. Then when I just started putting all of my focus into poetry, yeah, jewelry got kind of pushed to the
Mm.
side. But a few of my peoples have supported that. L.A. Walker, one of them, you know. But yeah, I have a page called Mind Beadful on Instagram.
All right.
But
Oh, you heard that? Follow.
yeah, that's the IG, Mind Beadful. But um, but you can get it from me. I can send you pictures.
Oh, there we
But you
go.
know, the beautiful thing about it is I will go to like thrift shops and get those, I call them old lady necklaces that probably like somebody bought it for them and then they never wore it. And then I come home,
Oh,
unbead them,
some of us old ladies
sanitize
will wear
them.
that.
Yeah. And then I break that all down and then I create other pieces. Like these are actually red wood.
Mm.
That's really
You
freaking cool. Because
know, and
again,
like
you're
Wow.
getting the
this
steel,
is
the
dope. I don't know if y'all can see it, but
yeah,
it's like
yeah,
Yeah,
it
I
has like
see
mark
it.
a
on it.
tribal type of thing on it too. I got all those for like different pieces.
Wow.
That's the thing.
I
So
love thrift
every
shop.
piece, yeah, every piece is authentic to it being made. So like the ones that L.A. Walker has, I wouldn't be able to duplicate that unless the same old lady wants to go drop off her
They
jewelry.
are
Mm.
custom. They are custom.
Yeah, and things that were
I
made back then that they held onto, they are in real good quality, better quality that you can get off of Amazon.
Mm. Wow. Wow.
what are and when can we see your shows? In case anybody doesn't know what nights you're on IG hosting and doing your thing, and that's we definitely got to hit that up that plug.
Yes. So I am, let's start with Mondays. No, I'm sorry. Let's start with Tuesdays. I forgot I switched my days. So every Tuesday at noon, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I host on Origin of Thoughts. It is called the Flowered Intersections, where we come up and I want to know who we giving flowers to that day. We can do our pieces, but it's very important to me that we give who we need to give flowers to. It doesn't have to be a poet. It could be their children or that old man at the Home Depot that done helped you with your lumber. Who you giving flowers to? I think it's too many times that we don't give flowers out. And I always see like posts of like rest in peace. And I always wonder to myself, I wonder if that person knew how they felt about them when they was living,
Mm.
you know?
Mm.
And it always, you always see it all the time, right? But then at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Poets Playground, you have Brand, Frizzy, and myself. We only bring up 10 poets on that open mic. Um, You have to sign up beforehand. So if you're interested in signing up, reach out to me. I can get you on that list. It is a complete vibe on there. You will laugh more than what
I'll tell
you
you
want
this:
to.
I went and performed. My first ever open mic was with them in Nashville.
Yeah.
They are some really incredible people.
They are amazing, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
I love them.
Yeah.
And so I'm real happy. Poets Playground has always felt like home to me. And I was so very ecstatic when they asked me to join them to host with them. And yeah, that's home. I got a hoodie and everything, y'all. And with Queen Liberati, that's how we met. We met on Poets Playground. That was like
Mm.
one of the first open mics that I went on to when I first came to IG. And I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know like what they were doing after it. I just thought I was going to share my piece. Next thing you know, I heard like Queen Liberati go, and then I'm just like, oh no, no, I'm about to embarrass myself. And then at the end of it, like I woke up the next day and like I'm waking up to notifications saying that I won like Clean Poet of the Week. And I'm like, hold on, what is this? What's a clean poet? And then, so I bought the hoodie. I had them put the day that me and Queen Liberati was on it together and the scoring. So it has her name on the background.
Mm,
And, you know, what was so amazing about it is, you know, she didn't have any ill will against me.
No,
And, you know, she
she's
came in.
incredible. Oh,
Yeah, she is.
mm,
So, like me and her, yeah, that's my
uh-uh.
boo right there.
yeah.
Not anymore. I can't.
We're fighting
No,
for the
no, but it's
queendom
okay.
here. I
It's okay.
see.
I can't. I would
Yeah,
not. But me and Queen Liberati, I love her.
yeah,
She is
yeah.
that
Speaking of
person.
which,
I
we
bought
gotta do a part
flowers
two
because
with
I
her.
needed to give her flowers because I need. It was like a pilgrimage, so I knew it was going to be a good year because I like when I'm down, I think of her. I really do
Yeah,
because she just has that power. She is
yeah,
that power, and
yeah,
you are also a person that
yeah,
does too. But there's
and
something
yeah.
about Queen Liberati.
But I am OPP is influenced in part from Queen Liberati's. You know,
Mm,
um,
mm.
the show was created from an idea that me and Ghetto Messiah had was to come up and read others people's poetry, and not only their poetry, rappers, singers, just not just people that we idolize, just artwork,
Amen.
just sitting, yeah, just like allowing a platform where we're showing appreciation just to others and not ourselves. I, you know, as bad as it sounds, I will not let someone come up and read their own pieces.
That's
Yeah, I'll
exactly.
excuse
That's
them.
the
That's like the one rule.
yeah.
Like everything else goes. We don't care what you do, but like the one thing
It's
is
clear.
we not reading our pieces. Is
It's
right.
clear.
We want,
That's it.
yeah,
OPP. It is very
other
clear.
people's poetry. And that's Friday night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tune in tomorrow.
Yeah, especially because we won't be available. So absolutely, I think I can be able to check that out finally because I love it.
Yeah.
So pretty much we can see you almost every night of the week, and we should see you every night of the week because you are just freaking incredible. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. You knew that the moment you had that first moment on stage. But oh my God, it was Andy, to steal your lines, it was an honor and a freaking privilege. So Andy,
Yes.
you can go ahead and
Actually,
close this out. Thank you so
yeah.
much.
So thank you
I've been
so
waiting for this
much.
one.
Thank you. I'll say this. Thank you so much for doing this with us. Thank you for saying yes. Thank you for trusting us with your story. Everybody has a story to tell, and that's important. Let's get our stories out there because my whole thing is celebrities get to tell their stories. So I'm like, okay, but why can't we tell our stories? We have a, we can learn from each other, and this is why this is created. So thank you for being a part of this journey with us, and yeah, again, honor and privilege, love, light, and flow. I'm still in that from CC flow. I'm sorry, she's probably gonna be gimmick infringement or whatever, but um,
Don't mess with her. She knows her business. She will get a.
yeah.
She knows her stuff. She knows
But
her stuff.
thank you, yeah. But thank you so much. May the Lord be with you guys, and may the Lord bless your hearts. And